I just got this insane set of Artex acrylic markers and apparently they are insane. But if you want to find out what makes them really special, make sure to watch this video. Alright, so we got the 72 color acrylic marker set. The packaging is really nice, it looks great. On the front it says that these have 3mm tips with strong coverage, and on the back you can see all the colors included. It also mentions that they are waterproof and can be used on pretty much any surface. Let's open it up. Inside you get a swatch sheet, which I already filled out. These markers look a lot different compared to the two sets of Artex markers that I have. Not only are they thicker, but the design of the markers is completely different. Let's grab one and take a closer look. Right on the back of the marker, it shows you how to activate it. Shake it well, then press the tip a few times until the paint starts flowing. I really appreciate that they printed the instructions right on the marker. Super helpful. Now let's take the cap off. As you can probably tell, I've already used this for swatching, and I have to say, these feel completely different from the other Artex markers. The tip is much larger, which makes sense now that I've seen the strong coverage label. But don't let that disappoint you, because you get extra nibs in this set. Right here you can see the replacement nibs in case the originals are damaged, plus you get this brush style nibs as well, which is awesome because it lets you switch tips depending on what you're working on. While I was looking closer at the nibs, I noticed something. They actually have two ends. So I tried rotating one and oh my god, it worked. You can flip the nib around and suddenly you've got a fine tip. That's amazing. It's basically two tips in one. Now, this set costs around $75, and let me tell you, that is really a good deal. You get 72 vibrant colors, a swatch sheet, these cool nibs, and waterproof acrylic paint that works on nearly any surface. But as cool as it sounds, it still comes down to performance. If the markers don't hold up while actually coloring, none of this matters. Alright, now that we've seen how the markers look and what they come with, it's time to actually test them on paper. I prepared a bunch of different shapes, big and small, just to see how these markers handle different areas. I also wanted to test out different nibs included in this set. So let's get started. Right away, I noticed this feel a bit different from the other Artex markers I've used. They release more paint, so you can definitely have to be careful when coloring small areas. It's easy to go overboard if you're not paying attention. But for larger areas, that extra paint is super helpful. It makes the coloring process faster and smoother. I also tested out different nibs, and I know some people might think switching tips is a hassle, but it's actually super quick and it's totally worth it. Why would you risk messing up your art when you can just switch to the perfect nib for the job? Here's how the test looks finished, and I've gotta say I love how the paint looks when it's dry. They also feel like they hold more paint than other sets I tested. You can definitely use this for bigger drawings without worrying they'll run out midway. Plus, having different nibs makes it super easy to adjust depending on what you're coloring. And just for fun, I tried them on a black paper too, and oh my god, they look amazing. Bright, vibrant colors that stand out beautifully. So yeah, with these markers you can color on both light and dark surfaces with no problem. Since I said this might work well on larger surfaces, let's put it to test. For this part I drew a split style character drawing on A4 paper so I could test as many markers and techniques as possible. First, let's find all the colors we would need. This is why swatching is so important. It helps you pick the right shades before you even start. Also, you'll notice I didn't ink this drawing yet. That's because the paint could mess up the line work, so I'll do the inking after the coloring is finished and dry. Now, I'm really starting to feel that strong coverage that is written on the box. The markers release more paint, which makes it much easier to cover large areas evenly. And if it starts to feel dry, I just give it a shake, press the tip a few times, and it's good to go. As I was coloring, I wanted to try one of these spare nibs that I got, and when I tried it, I was mind blown. Turns out these are not spare nibs, these are actually completely different nibs. I checked the Artex website and confirmed it. You get three types of nibs in this set: a thick 3mm tip, a 1.2mm fine tip, and a brush style nib. That's just amazing. These markers just have infinite possibilities. You can do so much with just one set. Anyway, I finished the drawing and here's how it turned out. The colors are stunning and I just love how it looks on paper. Now on the box it also says paint on anything, so I'm about to test that out. And for that I bought this little canvas to try these markers on. Since this is paint, canvas should be perfect surface for these markers. Let's open the canvas. But first we have to prepare it for drawing, and for that I'm gonna use this white acrylic paint. But before we start painting, I want to say that these are the first acrylic paint markers I've ever used on paper. I've tried Posca markers, but my experience with them is not that good. I don't know if it was me or just that specific set I bought was bad. Anyway, I'm saying all this as someone who's not a painter. I don't usually paint and I'm not comfortable with brushes. But these markers make it so easy and fun. If you ever wanted to try acrylic painting without all the mess and tools, these markers are the perfect way to start. Painting on canvas actually felt even better than on paper. I pushed these markers to the max, used all the nibs, tested the layering, and blended different areas. And this is the final result. I really love how it turned out. So, after testing these markers on paper, black paper, and canvas, and even try tip switching, I can definitely say that these markers are insane. They're not just good for beginners, they're genuinely great for anyone who loves traditional art and wants to try painting. You get the vibrant colors and a ton of flexibility thanks to the different nibs and surfaces they work on. Now, are they perfect? Not for everything. I'll still avoid large-scale drawings, but for A4 size or smaller, they are honestly some of the best paint markers I've ever tried. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have you tried any of these markers? If you didn't, I 100% recommend you to try them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.